Alan Gray here with the Microbiome First Summit, underwritten by the World Asthma Foundation. We're pleased to introduce our next speaker, Tony Harmon. Tony is a filmmaker and author who made the journey from award-winning documentary maker to becoming a passionate cheerleader for the infant microbiome. In this presentation, Tony talks about the importance of educating parents about the critical microscopic events happening during physiological birth and breastfeeding. Knowledge about this critical science can empower choices before, during, and after birth. Parents can take positive steps to nurture and protect their own gut microbiome, followed by their child's microbiome. Today, Tony presents her session, Educating Parents About Seeding and Feeding a Baby's Microbiome. Tony Harmon, over to you.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining me, and I really hope you are going to enjoy this presentation. It's called Educating Parents About Seeding and Feeding a Baby's Microbiome. So this presentation is about really complex science, but don't worry, I'll keep it simple. And the reason I'm going to keep it simple is that I'm not a scientist. My perspective is that of a parent. And I feel really passionate about bringing information about the gut microbiome to expectant parents and beyond. So what this presentation will cover. Number one, it's going to give you a simple explanation of the human microbiome. Two, it's going to give you a simple explanation of the concept of seeding and feeding the infant gut microbiome. Three, it's going to give you a simple explanation of how parents can be empowered with evidence-based knowledge about the microbiome in pregnancy. So, behavioural objectives. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to 1. Define the human microbiome. 2. Describe the main seeding event for founding the baby's microbiome during vaginal birth. 3. Describe how the components of breast milk help feed the beneficial bacteria in a baby's gut. You should also be able to 4. Describe how exclusive breastfeeding can help restore a baby's gut microbiome after a baby's born by C-section. And number 5, you'll be able to describe how educating parents early in pregnancy about seeding and feeding a baby's microbiome can potentially positively impact a child's long-term health. A quick legal disclaimer: the information contained within these materials is for general and informational purposes only. The information in this training is not, nor intended to be, a substitute for professional or clinical advice. If you have any concerns about your own or your baby's health, please seek the advice of a qualified healthcare professional. And a quick gender statement. In order to be inclusive to all people, I will be interchanging words throughout the presentation. It's my intent to include all situations. Okay, so let's get going. Hello, nice to meet you. So pleased and so honoured that you've joined me for this presentation. My name is Tony Harmon. So some of you might know me because they might have seen our film Microbirth, or we've made other films as well. You might have seen our doula film, or you might have seen our film Freedom for Birth, or you might have taken one of our free or paid courses within our online school, which is called Microbiome Courses, or you might have seen one of our educational products. So we create education for parents, so you might have accessed one of our microbiome baby classes, or you might have read one of our books. So we've got 2 books. You've got Your Baby's Microbiome, which is available in America and Canada, and you've got The Microbiome Effect, which is available in the rest of the world. So hopefully, maybe you've seen or read or taken one of our courses, so you might already know me, but if you don't, hello. I hope you enjoy this presentation, I really do. Okay, so how did it all start? So I'm a parent with a background, I'm a documentary filmmaker. How did I end up being immersed in the world of the microbiome? So here's my journey. You ready? Okay, so when I was pregnant, I made a simple birth plan. I really, really wanted to have a home birth supported by midwives, and I was imagining myself in a birth pool with candles, with soft music, and just being surrounded, giving birth in my home environment. That was really important to me. And one other thing, my big thing on my birth plan was I wanted to exclusively breastfeed. So I wanted as much support as possible so that I could exclusively breastfeed my baby. But as sometimes happens in birth and whatever plans you make, sometimes birth happens in a whole different way. I ended up with an emergency C-section, and it's a very common story, and this happens to many people. And C-section is amazing; it's life-saving, and it's part of the birth story for many people all around the world. And with no support, I struggled to breastfeed, and I ended up topping up with infant formula. So I'm someone who wanted a home birth and to exclusively breastfeed. I ended up having an emergency C-section, struggling to breastfeed and topping up with infant formula. So that was quite a difference from what I was hoping and what I wrote out with my birth plan. So after the birth, my partner Alex and I had one question. Does it really matter how our daughter was born and fed? So we're both documentary filmmakers. We have a curiosity, and this was a burning question that we wanted to have an answer to. So Alex and I decided to go looking for answers to that question. Just like some other new parents, they have questions about their birth and they also go looking for answers. But that question led to a 10-year journey where we've travelled over 50,000 miles, possibly not like many other new parents. And we went to interview some of the top experts in the field. And this led us to interview people like Martin Blazer, Maria Gloria Dominguez Bello, Rodney Deertert, who's one of the keynote speaker of this whole summit event. And we went to learn from leading scientists who were researching epigenetics. So we've got Jacqueline Taylor, got Hannah Darlin, we've got Sue Carter, who we went to interview. And we also went to learn from the top experts who were researching human milk. So we have Megan Azad, Jennifer Smilovitz, and David Mills. We've also interviewed dozens and dozens of other scientists from all around the world in different disciplines. So some microbiologists, some human milk researchers, some epidemiologists, some medical people, midwives. We've gone to interview everybody to get a broad picture of what is happening with birth and infant feeding today and what are the long-term consequences. So from going to interview these amazing, brilliant scientists and other experts, this led us to make an award-winning film, Microbirth. And this led to writing 2 books, Your Baby's Microbiome and The Microbiome Effect. And it led us to create an online school to offer evidence-based courses for health professionals. So our school's called Microbiome Courses. And this led us to creating Microbiome Baby, which is a toolkit of resources which health professionals can use to teach parents about the infant microbiome. So, after travelling 50,000 miles and interviewing dozens and dozens and dozens of different scientists and professors and academics in all different fields, does it matter how I gave birth and how I fed my daughter? Turns out the latest research suggests how a baby is born and fed can affect a baby's gut microbiome. Not just that, how a baby is born and fed can also potentially impact a child's long-term health. I didn't know this back then when I was pregnant. I didn't know any of this. I'd never even heard of the microbiome. I hadn't even heard of bacteria and why it's so important. So this is a whole journey that I've learnt over the last decade. Okay, so let's get to the basics. Really, really simply. What is the human microbiome? So who am I? I am Tony Harmon, but I'm also a human super organism. So what is a human super organism? My body is made of trillions of human cells, and you probably know that already. But my body also has trillions of microbes or microorganisms, and you probably know that too. So these microorganisms include bacteria, viruses, fungi, protists, archaea, and it's an incredible microbial ecosystem that's living on and in us. And scientists are discovering that the community of microorganisms that live on and in us, which is known as the human microbiome, so you might have heard of that term, the human microbiome. So scientists are discovering that this community of microorganisms, everybody has a unique microbiome that's unique as a fingerprint. So it's not just the uniqueness that's special, is that the trillions of microorganisms that call us home, that live on and in us, they help keep us healthy. Because the microorganisms, they help with human digestion, they help with metabolism, they help with the immune system, and much, much more. So, how and when does someone acquire their microbiome? So again, I'm going to explain this really, really simply. So the process starts early, during pregnancy. And it is amazing. It's a whole amazing process. So during pregnancy, the microorganisms in the expectant parent's gut and vagina change during pregnancy. Woo! Scientists believe the microorganisms change in the mother or birth parent's vagina and gut. They change in preparation for birth and breastfeeding. It's amazing. It's amazing. So more, ooh. And scientists also believe the main seeding event for founding a baby's microbiome happens during childbirth. I love this picture of the baby coming out. So, ah. So during childbirth, a whole series of microscopic events happen when the waters break. So if you imagine the baby develops mostly protected from the world of microbes inside the amniotic sac. And so because it's mostly protected from the world of microbes, the first exposure to the world of microbes, the world in which we all live, is when the amniotic sac ruptures. So that's when the waters break. So suddenly the bacteria, fungi, and other microscopic microorganisms which are around us every day, they have access to the baby once the waters break. And that's the start of the main seeding event for founding the baby's gut microbiome. So this series of microscopic events which start to happen when the waters break, they're all invisible to the human eye, but it's an amazing process. So if you imagine the mother's waters break, and that's usually at the start or during labour. So as the waters break and the baby starts travelling through the birth canal and is born, the baby acquires the beneficial microorganisms from their mother or birth parent. So as the baby comes through, if you imagine the mother or birth parent's vagina is loaded with beneficial bacteria, the baby acquires that bacteria as it journeys through the birth canal. So during vaginal birth, the baby acquires beneficial microorganisms from the birth canal. And then as the baby comes out, if the baby has contact with the mother's fecal matter, the mother's poop, then sometimes the baby might get a good lick of the mum's bum on the way out, or there might just be I've been to births. Births can be really messy, and that's a brilliant thing because the baby might be exposed to the mum's poo. So the baby acquires the mum's gut bacteria from accessing her poo. And then also the baby acquires more beneficial microorganisms from immediate skin to skin contact. So for whatever reason, if the mother isn't available, then the father or other person from the family unit, they could also transfer some of their beneficial skin microbes to the baby. But the most important ones are the vaginal and the gut bacteria from the mother to be transferred to the baby during vaginal birth. And then more microorganisms are acquired from the baby, acquired from the air, from every touch, from every kiss. So this whole period when the baby's born, the baby is basically is being exposed to these microbes, and those microbes are swallowed in their mouth. They go in their mouth, they go in their eyes, ears, and all of those start colonizing the baby's gut microbiome. And there's one other thing that ensures the right beneficial microorganisms colonize the infant gut microbiome. So the right kind of beneficial microorganisms, the ones that come from the mum or the birth parent, they're the ones that you want to colonize the infant gut microbiome. You want those ones to seed the baby's gut microbiome. And you know what one thing helps? Exclusive breastfeeding. This is really, really, really important. So you probably already know this, that early breast milk contains important immune, growth, and tissue repair components. So these are crucial to building a child's immune system. So all those amazing, fantastic components of breast milk, they're all crucial to building a child's immune system. But did you also know the third largest component of human milk are indigestible special sugars called human milk oligosaccharides, HMOs. Remember that phrase, human milk oligosaccharides. So they're the third largest component of breast milk. So they're really, really important. So the HMOs, the human milk oligosaccharides in human milk, they feed the beneficial microorganisms newly arrived in the baby's gut. So these are the beneficial microorganisms. They're the ones transferred from the mother or the birth parent during birth and breastfeeding. So these special sugars, these HMOs in breast milk, ensures the right beneficial microorganisms quickly colonize the baby's gut microbiome, because these special sugars are food for those particular beneficial microorganisms. So once they're fed, those beneficial microorganisms quickly colonize the baby's gut microbiome. It's amazing, fantastic. So having the right beneficial microorganisms, so the right beneficial microorganisms, the ones that have come from the mum or the birth parent, the ones that have come from the mother's vagina and from her gut, the ones that have been fed by the special sugars which are in breast milk, this helps colonize the infant gut microbiome. And having the having the right colonization by the right type of microbes in the infant gut, this ensures the infant immune system is optimally trained. So those beneficial microbes which start colonizing the infant gut, they train the infant immune system to identify what's friend, so what's foe. So what's a good bacteria, what's a bad bacteria. I don't like using good and bad, but what's friend to be tolerated and what's foe to be attacked. And that immune training, very, very simply, is this immune training is done by the presence of the right type of beneficial microorganisms in the infant gut. So if the infant immune system is optimally trained, this can help protect a baby for life. Okay, so what happens if a baby needs to be born by C-section? And remember, I'm not against C-section because C-sections can be life-saving. But what's the science say? What happens to the baby's microbiome if they are born by C-section? So research suggests babies born by caesarean section have a different gut bacteria, have a different gut microbiome to those born vaginally, or at least for a short time. And this, at least for a short time, this difference, having an altered gut microbiome, the hypothesis is that this could potentially affect the immune training. So there's a narrow window for the infant immune system to be trained. And if the right beneficial microorganisms are not present in the infant gut at the right time in the right order, then this could impact infant immune system training. So even though later on in life the gut microbiome of a vaginally born baby or infant is similar to a C-section born infant, later on it's that kind of the early window of time when the scientists believe that this could make a difference. This could affect a child's health. So, something to know. According to Rodney Dietrich, there's a critical developmental window for beneficial microorganisms to quickly colonize the infant gut, fed by the special sugars, the HMOs in breast milk. So with high levels of elective C-section and prevalent use of formula feeding, this can lead to the wrong kind of microorganisms, so called pathobionts, which dominate the infant gut microbiome. So if you have elective C-section, so that's C-section performed before the amniotic sac has ruptured. So the it's elective, which could be from maternal request, or it's just not an emergency. That's what elective C-section means. So with high levels of elective C-section and prevalent use of formula feeding, so that could lead to the wrong kind of microorganisms that dominate and colonize the infant gut microbiome. So this could have potential consequences for a child's long-term health. But recent research finds that exclusive breastfeeding can help restore the gut microbiome of a baby born by C-section. So even if a baby needs to be born by C-section, if the mother is able to be supported to exclusively breastfeed, this can help restore the gut microbiome of a baby born by C-section. So what do you need to remember? The science of the infant microbiome strongly supports vaginal birth when possible. The science of the infant microbiome strongly supports immediate skin-to-skin contact. And the science of the infant microbiome strongly supports exclusive breastfeeding, however a baby is born. So if it all comes down to one thing, remember this one phrase: seed and feed. Seed and feed. Seed, that's the mother's beneficial microorganisms which are transferred to the baby during childbirth. And feed, so those beneficial microorganisms are fed by the special sugars, HMOs, in her breast milk. So seed and feed. So that helps optimally train the infant immune system. That helps protect a baby for life. So one question I'm often asked: won't this science make some parents feel guilty? So here's what I think. I believe a feeling of guilt can come from someone making a decision about something they already knew about or had been informed about. I also believe many parents don't know about this critical science yet, or they don't find out about it until much later, perhaps after the critical developmental window has closed. I also believe if parents are empowered to make fully informed, personalised choices that are right for them and their particular situation, this can help reduce or even eliminate any feelings of parent guilt later on. So if parents are informed about this science and know about it and understand it, they can then they'll be fully informed about it. So they can factor that information into their own personalized choices that are right for them and for their own particular situation. So if they know about it and can be empowered with this information, this can help them, reduce the risk of them feeling any guilt later on. I know I felt guilty after understanding this science. Not guilty, more regret. I felt regret that I didn't know this science when I had my baby. And that's what puts the fuel in my belly, is that I want people to understand this science so they can be empowered in their choices. So if you're an expectant parent, maybe you're going to want to seek lactation help. So personalized one-to-one lactation help to help you establish breastfeeding, or whether you want to explore other options. If you know about the science, then you can make empowered choices later on. So I strongly believe knowledge about the infant microbiome should be a key part of antenatal education. I strongly believe, and I do strongly believe this, if parents had access to the latest evidence-based information about this critical science, explained in a way that's easy to understand, if parents can be helped to understand in simple terms the science of the infant microbiome, that this can help empower parent choices before, during, and after birth. So, my question is, could this be a game changer to improve the long-term health of the next generation? What do you think? I think it is. I think it can be a game changer. So I think knowing about the science of the infant microbiome, this could change everything. But what do you think? So here's an idea. What if all parents were taught about the infant microbiome early in pregnancy or even preconception? Because if expectant parents are taught about the infant microbiome early in pregnancy, I'm saying first or second trimester, then they could start to take positive steps to nurture their own vaginal and gut microbiome during pregnancy, which means they would have the best possible microbiome for them to pass on to their child during birth and breastfeeding. So can you see, if you educate someone early in pregnancy, they can already start to make changes, which they, because of the idea of maternal heritage, where a mother or birth parent passes her microbiome to her child during birth and breastfeeding. If they can get their own microbiome in shape early, then this could potentially affect their child's health later on. In other words, understanding this critical science early in pregnancy could help inspire diet and lifestyle choices which can positively impact their child's long-term health after birth. It's amazing. It's an amazing concept, the idea. If you teach someone early in pregnancy, this could inspire changes which could positively impact their child's long-term health later on. For example, parents might want to know what an expectant parent eats or does during pregnancy can impact their own microbiome, which in turn could also impact their baby's microbiome too. For example, emerging research indicates the positive effect of moderate exercise during pregnancy. A recent study in mice by Laker et al., published in the Journal of Applied Physiology, suggests a mother exercising during pregnancy can reduce the chances of the infant developing diabetes and other metabolic diseases later in life. Another finding of the same study is that a mother exercising during pregnancy can completely block any negative impacts or negative effects on the infant of having an obese parent, either the mother or the father. So my take-home message, if the same effects are also seen in humans, remember this is a mouse study, so if the same effects are also seen in humans, it's an important message. So moderate exercise during pregnancy could be a way for expectant parents to ensure their baby has the best possible future health. So what about diet? Emerging research shows changing what you eat before and during pregnancy can impact the beneficial microorganisms an expectant parent passes to their child during childbirth. Think about that. What you eat before and during pregnancy can impact the beneficial microorganisms in the vagina and gut microbiome, and they're the ones that are going to be passed to the child, transferred to the child during childbirth. Okay, so before I just explain the science, remember, before changing your diets, please consult with your doctor, dietitian, or other qualified health professional. And any changes should be introduced gradually to your diet. Okay, so now I'm going to explain the science. In a recent study, low-risk women who ate a high consumption of miso soup, yogurt, and fermented soybeans before pregnancy had a reduced risk of early preterm birth. And that's Ito et al. In 2019 study. That's amazing, isn't it? That what you eat, so if you ate fermented foods before pregnancy, so before conception, this could reduce your risk of early preterm birth. In another study, scientists looked at maternal diet during pregnancy, and the research looked at involved 86 mother-baby pairs. This is a 2020 study. So group 1 ate a diet with a high amount of dietary fibre, omega-3 fatty acids and polyphenols. The results of the study? Scientists found a greater presence of Ruminococcus, a microbe that produces butyrate, which is a biomarker for gut health and anti-inflammatory properties. So if you ate a diet of high amount of dietary fibre, omega-3 fatty acids and polyphenols, this means that you have a greater presence of a microbe that produces this biomarker for gut health, and it also has anti-inflammatory properties. Amazing, fantastic. So in group 2, they ate a diet with a higher intake of carbohydrates, saturated fatty acids, and animal protein. So the results were more Prevotella, an oral microbe associated with increased risk of disease. Also in group 2, the babies that were born later were at increased risk of becoming overweight in the first 18 months. So this is a quote from Maria Carmen Carlado, the researcher at the Institute of Agrochemistry and Food Technology of the Spanish National Research Council. So this is a quote. In particular, fibre, vegetable protein and omega-3 acids in a maternal diet have a significant effect on the baby's microbiome and contribute to child development and a child's health during the first months of life. So what you eat during pregnancy, this can impact the child's health later on. So the conclusion, what an expectant parent eats affects their own gut microbiome and also helps to shape the baby's gut microbiome. And this research showed that it had an effect on infant growth for the first 18 months. Okay, so there's other things that expectant parents can do, and probably within the summit, people have talked about other things that expectant parents can do to get their microbiome in the best possible order. But how do we get this critical information about the infant microbiome out there? How do we let people know about it? If only there were some ready-made tools and a free mini course to teach parents and health professionals about the infant microbiome. Ta-da! We've got them. So we've created Microbiome Baby, which is a ready-made toolkit for educators to teach parents about the infant microbiome, which includes animations, info sheets, lesson plans, games, and you can find out more at our website, which is microbiomecourses.com. And if you want to take our free mini course featuring 6 professors, go to microbiomecourses.com, and it's called What is the Infant Microbiome? It's completely free, it's half-hour long, and it delves deeper into the science. And that's the end of my presentation. I'm so pleased that you lasted until the end, and thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for listening. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Microbiome Courses, and our website is microbiomecourses.com. So come over to our website, take our free mini course, dive in, and I hope you enjoy learning more about the wonders of the exciting science of the infant microbiome. Thanks so much.